Evening. It's 8 o'clock on a Friday, and the first Friday in December. December already. If only this year had been memorable in some way. It seems to have flown by with very little happening. 2020. What will we say about it in the future? Who knows? Um, we have at least one person watching. Apparently, three people. So, hello. Hi, Trish. How are you? And on YouTube again for the second week in a row. This is all very exciting. Now, I've tried something different with the lighting. I'm not sure. It seems like it's shining a bit too much on my head. I've got a shiny head anyway, but yeah, I think that's a bit better. Hello, Paul. Nice to see you. Hello, Sam. I have had a reasonably good week, thank you. I hope you have too. Hello, Tracy. So yeah, a few people joining us. I'm going to again try and keep this a little bit less woolly than the live streams I did on Facebook. So I'm going to try and stick to 30 minutes maximum. It might be less if I run out of things to say. Those of you who've been watching these since March, I think you'll realise that I can waffle on interminably if a mood should take me. But I blame you for asking interesting questions or getting me off on a tangent, which, as we know, is deadly. Hello, Doug. Nice to see you. So you're very good health, all of you. It's not tea this time. I love that logo, Sage. Good evening. That's great. It's really nice. I don't know if you can hear the TV next door. It's very loud here. This is professional stuff, you know. I'm going to just call through to my backroom people. That's very loud. Backroom people. Dressing gown woman says sorry. I don't know what I just said then. I was trying to say dressing gown woman, but I think I said dressing room womb. Yes, thank you. We're all here for the waffle. Right, so let me give you just a quick update on this week's non-political, non-weather related even, although we did have snow this morning. I walked the dog this morning and it snowed on us quite heavily, which was, I mean, it stopped and it hasn't settled, but it was still a bit of a shock. But it was nice to, the best thing about going out in the snow, after just saying I'm not going to go on about the weather, but I am British, so we have to. Best thing about going out in the snow is, of course, as we all know, once we become adults, not insane children, is coming back in again into the warm and having a hot drink, having a lovely cup of coffee in the warmth, and then feeling like falling asleep for the rest of the day, which I didn't do. I did do some writing. So I've even made notes. This is how seriously I'm taking it at the moment. What was I going to tell you? Oh, there we go. I was just going to say. So that's Sarko. Sarko to me? Or is it Seiko? It's just Takuma Sato was a racing driver. So I saw, no, it's Sato, wasn't it? See, I can't even get that right this evening. This doesn't bode well for the next 25 minutes, does it? But yeah, that's great. I really like it. Rebranding. We should talk about that. I like that. It's really good. So, writing wise, yes, the Bedlam Boy books continue to be written. I'm toying with the idea at the moment of the three books that I'm writing, and I am on the last one of the three, more than halfway. Am I more than halfway through? No, but I'm on the last one of the three. I've got those ones, and I've also got at least one other book done in the series. These they are shorter books, and started on the second one of those. I'm wondering if I should actually, I may not do this at all, if I should finish all six and then release them, you know, a month apart or whatever, so that next year there's something coming out regularly, which would be good. And after a year where not so much has come out, I mean, we did have the three Bedlam Boy books, so that's good. So yeah, it's getting written. I'm not back up to my sort of previous productivity, but things are still heading in that direction. So I'm not pushing myself too hard. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit later anyway. But before I do that, wanted to talk about what we were watching. I know we're late to the party here, but the dressing gown woman and I have started watching Devs, which was on ages ago, wasn't it? On BBC, I think, and on we found it on the iPlayer, and it's written by Alex Garland, and it's a sort of, I suppose it could be near future look at technology. It's very stylized, very interesting. I liked it from the first few minutes. I thought, oh, I'm going to like this, and a lot of that was to do with the music. The music is by, I wrote it down to make sure I got it right, Ben Salisbury, The Insects, and Jeff Barrow. Now, Ben Salisbury and Jeff Barrow was one of the founders of Portishead, the band. They also wrote the music for Annihilation and for Ex Machina, the last two Alex Garland films, which were both excellent. Particularly, I actually really love Ex Machina, although I'd like to see Annihilation again. And this soundtrack's sort of got everything, and it's all over the work. It's as some of it is just you'll just get music for a couple of minutes sometimes, but it's really immersive. It's excellent. It made me think about. I often, when I'm writing, I'll listen to something very ambient, and when I'm reading, sometimes I'll do the same. I can't listen to anything that's too involving, but I actually quite like having a kind of bed of sound. And I wondered if that was something people did when they read. I couldn't listen to anything with words in, obviously, or a particularly interesting melody. Hello, Albie. Albie? He's just realised it's Friday. Yep, just not yet. In a minute. Okay, I'll call you when I'm ready. We've talked about this. We practiced. What happened? All that work out of the window. I mean, you think there's a biscuit in here, and that's it. You're in like that. You just wait, okay? All right. I'll see you in a minute. Just for a little while, okay? I'll do the newsy bit, then we'll do the dog bit, because people might not watch anymore once they've seen you. You've got to understand. You're the star of the show. Just wait there, okay? Yeah. So. I wondered if people did the same thing, if they had, well, I'll call you, if they had music on while they read, and if so, what works for them. I don't want to get too sidetracked on that, but stick some things in the comments or in the comments below. If you're watching this in the future, obviously you can't comment in the live bit, but leave your comments below on any of this. I will read them later. Anyway, yeah, fantastic soundtrack for Devs. I really like it. Right. See, I told you I was organised. Written stuff down on a piece of paper. That's how organised I am. With a fountain pen. So, let's move on. I've even put in my... Oh, did you like my YouTube thumbnails? Well, I suddenly realised people do really nice little thumbnails. I know it wasn't a great job. It was a bit of a rush. But I remembered I pay a subscription to something called BookBrush, where you can do little design efforts. It's no good coming to the other side and pretending you're another dog. I've told you about that, haven't I? I know it's you. We only have one dog. Okay, you were on that side, now you're on this side. It's still you. Okay, so it's lovely to see you again. Don't stand on that. That's my new keyboard. Oi, get off that. Honestly, what are you like? Right, just wait there. I'll tell you when I'm ready. Okay, where was I? So, yes, written with fountain pen, notes, YouTube, little thumbnail done on that BookBrush thing. So it's all looking very professional. Now, you see, you're ruining the whole thing. So I want to talk about... well, I was going to say writer's block, but sort of creative block in general, because I assume that it's not just writers, that artists get it. Musicians certainly do. So a lot of us do get it, and it's the sort of responses to this idea of writer's block seems to vary from right at one end of the scale of people being very sympathetic about it and saying, well, you know, you're artistic. It's no wonder you must go and lie down in a bath, drink absinthe, and have someone rub menthol into your temples, and when you're ready, the muse will come to you again. Right to the other end of the scale, where someone says, "Get your ass out of that bath and go and write a story, you pillock." Either of which are valid enough, I suppose. And I've gone both ends of the scale. I'm more on the get your ass out of that bath end of the scale when it comes to myself if I'm not being productive. But I did realise when I had this period over the summer where I really wasn't writing, which is just very, very unusual for me, that I need to try something different than my usual shtick when it comes to writing. So I did. Yeah, you could just wait there; it'll be fine. And I thought I'd just talk briefly about that. And in the comments, if you've got any experience of this or any questions about it, then stick them in there. Just before I start, I'm just going to have a look and see. Sarko, not Seiko. Oh, so I did get it right then, didn't I? Fusako. Excellent. And sure enough, the dog got spotted. As you can see, yes, our new Albie overlord. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Dressing gown woman is being funny. Absolute classic rock radio. Awesome blues music. You see, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. That's really interesting because classic rock. There are going to be some words said, and I can't tune them out in a song. Frank makes an excellent point here that having a dog does solve a problem of talking to yourself. Yeah, completely. It does. Although I think, as a stand-up comic pointed out very early on in the days of mobile phones, when we had the first hand-free devices, when the wired ones actually with the little mic on the cord, is that it meant you could, people who just were talking to themselves anyway, people just assume they're on the phone. And that's what we all do now. So you can just wander around talking to yourself quite happily. Just stick a big pair of headphones on. That's what I do. Dark synth. Okay. Dark synthwave and goth industrial. Now that sounds good. Oh, and in contrast to the stuff you were writing. So that is really interesting, Sage. And synthwave, this seems to be a new expression for something that never had something to describe it when it was actually around in the 80s. And it seems to have been something that's been applied to it retrospectively and not that long ago. We had New Wave, and we had New Romantics, and I can't think of anything else. But we didn't have a genre called synthwave in the 80s at the time. But I think most people know the kind of thing you mean. And if we don't, I'm sure you tell us. Right, how am I doing for time? Like I said, I was determined to stick to this. Sound of waves crashing. Ah, okay. Sat on a beach in hot weather. Yeah, well, if you can get it, that's great. If not, though, you can reproduce it on your headphones. When I'm editing, I quite like to listen to, and it always makes me laugh, this brown noise, which isn't as this is not a Rudy Giuliano reference. Brown noise. This is actually a thing, and if you find it on, there's loads of it on YouTube. Just have a look for brown noise, and you'll find it's sounds like you're on a plane, and you've fallen asleep with your headphones on. It's that noise, that sort of rumble in the background, and I found that really good when I was editing, actually. Talking to a rubber duck. You see, we're off the rails already. And yeah, but that's great. If I'm really into a book, I guess I could, but I just like to give it every chance I can now. And but that's true, actually. If once I'm into it, then I can pick it up, and Dressing Gown Woman will tell you that I might not absolutely be paying the best of attention. As I read on Twitter the other day, I think it was it was a dad jokes Twitter account, which is very funny. He said, my wife said to me the other day, I don't think you are even listening to me. That's a funny way to start a conversation. And Sam's agreeing. Okay. Missed that, Trish. Very proud mummy moment to tell if that's okay. Yes, of course. Stick it in the comments, and I'll try and slot it in a minute. I'm going to move on just now to the writer. No, okay, obviously. Oh, blimey, Albie. Come on then. You'll have to try that again. What? Blinking heck, dog. You're supposed to wait until the signal. That wasn't the signal. I just turned slightly to the side and you went for it. Right, now come on, sit up properly. Sit up. Sit up. That's it. Okay, look at your adoring public. Now that's my hand. Okay. Say hello to the world. Now, I know what you're after. This has nothing to do with affection, love for your human family. This is all to do with the shiny, crunchy biscuits in the shape of dog bones that you can see over here. So, okay. Now you're going to take this gently. Okay, take it gently. Good boy. That's it. All right, crunch it on the mic. You know what to do. MSR. Ugh. You could have savoured it a bit. Is that it? One more. Okay, you don't look very comfortable. Are you comfortable? I'm not convinced. Take it gently. Yeah. Don't crunch over the keyboard. I have to write on that. That's it. It's all gone. There's nothing left. Bottle of ink. I don't think you'd want that, would you? No. Get off the keyboard. Honestly, what are you like? Right, say goodbye. You're going to go now. Say bye to everybody. Because it's really, you've got yourself in a very uncomfortable position now. I don't know about you, but me certainly. Yes, okay. That's it, no more. You're staying anyway. Right. So, let me come back to reality and check the comments. There we go. So, Chris has kept the job with Screen Rant as a freelance Star Trek features writer. Superb. Congratulations, Chris. That's absolutely brilliant news. I know Chris is really into his sci-fi, particularly Star Trek, so that's superb. Well done. Nice one. Very proud mother. Well done, Chris. And there's quite a few congratulations in the comments, so that's great. And this is what you can tell, someone's got some culture in their background there, but Sage has gone straight for the also Sprax Zarathustra rather than the, oh, that's that bit from 2001, which is pretty what I would have said. And that's just showing off having 2 books out this week. Excellent. Okay, writer's block. Let's get into it. I'm going to have to try and do, if anyone knows how to do this thing, some of you have done YouTube stuff before. If you know how to do that thing where you put a little timestamp in the comments when someone actually starts talking about the thing they promised they were going to in the description, if you could timestamp the fact that I'm going to talk about it right now, that would be brilliant. So, here are the E&W Sainsbury rules, which aren't rules at all, which are general guidelines, which even that sounds a bit too prescriptive. So I'm going to say kind of woolly, generalised kind of suggestions about how to get rid of writer's block, which, like anything else, is a thing. I think if you're creative for a living, there's a kind of different vibe to it. Maybe not even then. Maybe it's just, even if it's not a living, but you've got people expecting you to put stuff out there, then there's a kind of little bit of a pressure there. Not a bad one at all, but it's a different feeling to just sitting down with no one knowing you're even doing it. You'll never get that moment again where you write your first story or your first book, because you're just sat there in your spare time doing something and there are absolutely no expectations, and that can be quite lovely. Whereas if you're lucky enough to have some success, as time goes on, you sit down again to write something, and okay, people are going to expect this to be okay. You don't want to let anyone down. All sorts of pressures can come to bear. So first of all, this is an overriding principle, I'd say, this is probably what I'm worst at, is to actually be kind to yourself and if you're not quite getting with it and it's not happening for you, to know when to say, and this is the hard thing because you're your own boss, which makes the office parties pretty tedious, is to be able to say, okay, it's not working out at the moment, take a break. Don't beat yourself up about it, just it's happening, and no amount of tutting and shaking a finger at yourself figuratively is actually going to do any good. Excuse me. It's not a persistent cough, it just needs slightly more vodka tonic. So that's the general principle. And so having said that, here's the 4 things I wrote down when I thought about this today. Number 1 is don't be precious. Now this goes back to this idea of lying in the bath and having your temples massaged. That's temples, dressing gown woman. Which is because if you're working creatively, then there is still that slightly mysterious vibe to the whole endeavour where people say, oh, I don't know where you get your ideas from, or how do you manage to think up these things? It's just amazing. And you can't buy into that at all. That's just not going to do you or anyone else any good. So don't believe your own press, don't believe your own hype, and don't think that what you're doing is special, because what everybody does is special. And we all hopefully can do something we're reasonably good at, and okay, not as many people write books as do some other jobs, but so what? It's still something you're sitting down and working at, or you should be. So don't turn it into some kind of mysterious, mystical endeavour that only certain chosen ones can do. If you treat it like that, I think you're going to get into trouble pretty quickly. So that's kind of suggestion number 1. Suggestion number 2, Stephen King put this very well. I think he may have even said it exactly like this. He's just keep showing up, and this is pretty key, I think. I'm lucky that I'm now, because I am now doing this for a living, I can set aside the time every day to sit down and work at this, to write, which is great. But if you're not, and you're trying to fit in the time for whatever it might be, writing poetry, writing songs, painting, writing stories or books, composing music, whatever it might be, if you can find that time to carve out and stick to it, even if it's not every day, even if it's only once a week, or not even that, but as long, I would even go as far as put it in your diary, put it on the calendar, and then stick to it. So 5 days a week, I will sit at this desk between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, with a short break for lunch, which should mean I should be able to write an awful lot of words, and sometimes does and generally doesn't. But words do get written because I'm here. I show up, and even if the words aren't flowing, I still sit down at the desk and I still do it. Stephen King would say, if you just show up at the same time every day, he calls them the boys in the back room, which is the muse, if you like, then the muse will help you out. But you have to be there. If you're not there when the muse comes, then you're not going to get anything written, are you? And the whole muse idea is a bit ludicrous, really. It's like anything else. If you practice it, you get better at it. So it's the same with imagination. The imagination is often just linking things in your head that perhaps hasn't been done in that particular way before. Although the original idea is not actually, often isn't the most important thing. It's how you then put that original idea on the page and the characters you use to bring it to life. Number 3 I've written down is the fill the tank, which is to make sure you're watching stuff, listening to stuff, participating in stuff when life goes back to normal that we find inspiring. Because if you're a writer, and I'll just use writer as an example now because that's what I'm doing, if you're a writer, there's probably something that inspired you to become a writer. And the most likely thing is another writer. You've read books that you absolutely love and it makes you want to be a writer. So when you become a writer and you're spending a lot of your time doing it, you actually have less time for reading, but you've got to find that time. You've got to go back to what inspired you in the first place and find fresh ideas, read books that excite you, listen to music that transports you. You've got to do all these things. And films are great as well. I love watching a good film. 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you can get totally immersed in something. It's got story, it's got characters, it's music, it's a spectacle, and then it's done. But it's filling the tank, and it's good to do things that you wouldn't normally do as well. Listen to music you wouldn't normally listen to. Be adventurous, and we live in an age where that's easier than ever. We can go on YouTube and we can go on various music sites. We can search for stuff. We can watch videos. We can find new writing without having to spend lots of money. We can be inspired. We can search these people out, and we should. There's some fantastic creative people out there doing amazing things, and we can watch their videos. We can buy their books. We can read their work. Everything you do like that is just bringing in new ideas, sort of by the back door, if you like. It just builds up. It's just like a bank of ideas sitting there, and it might even just be the way a scene played out in a film that was a bit different to the way you thought it would be, and you think, okay. It could just even be subconscious, the way a scene ended abruptly and it took you by surprise, and you think it just gets filed away somewhere, and you don't copy it, but it just feeds your imagination, and it will come out again at some point. And the very last one, which is, having said keep showing up, it now sounds like I'm going to contradict it, but this is the reason I've left it till last, is because I feel like this is a last resort, but you've got to have it there and got to know you can do this, because I did it for the first time this summer, is to pause. If nothing else is working and it's just not happening, then at that point possibly it's just counterproductive to keep showing up if you're not getting the words onto the page and nothing's happening for you. Then take a few days. If a few days doesn't work, take longer if you can. I think another writer, we should remember who, said that having to pay a mortgage was a wonderful cure for writer's block, and that's right. And I think if the pressure was on to that extent, if it was a deadline for a story and it was paid by the word, then I think that writer's block I had, which was more of an obstruction that needed dislodging, I suppose. That makes it sound medical and slightly dubious. Sorry about that. But yeah, I imagine if I had a deadline and someone paid me by the word, then it would have happened. I would have done it. I would have written it. However, I can go back to the overriding principle again about being kind to yourself now and say that was the right thing to do, was to take the time off. And when I did come back to it, it's lost me a lot of time. But where do those deadlines come for me at the moment? They come from me. It's not from anyone else. So that time I've lost is something I will gradually get back as I get back up to speed. So those are my thoughts on writer's block. So just to sum up, be kind to yourself was the main sort of overriding principle. Don't be precious. Any creative endeavor is still it's craft. It's like people who are good with their hands who can make a piece of furniture or whatever. It's work. You go and do it. So if you can do it, then great, good for you. And it's an amazing thing to be able to sit down and make something out of nothing. It's one of the greatest feelings in the world when it's going well. But it's work. You're doing work. Secondly, keep showing up. If you can carve out that regular time, do it. Thirdly, fill the tank. Just make sure you're getting ideas in by absorbing creative people doing great things in other media, whatever they may be. And lastly, if all else doesn't seem to be working for you, just take some time off. Allow yourself to do that and properly do it. Turn the computer off if you're writing. Put the notebooks away. Maybe just give yourself, okay, the next 5 days or whatever, if you can, if you're allowed to do that, then do it if you can. And that's it, really. I think the reason I put the be kind to yourself thing at the top is because creativity is kind of, it's childlike, it's playful. It is play. So you can't play if you feel that someone is standing over you, telling you to do it. I used to say about an organisation I worked for a little while that there was a thing they used to do what I called enforced bonhomie, which is when you're kind of expected to have a good time with a group of people. It's expected of you, and it just made it impossible for me. I just couldn't do it. And creativity is the same for me. I need to feel like I'm playing, and it does feel like playing. It feels fantastic when I allow that to happen. So that's it. Let me have a quick look at the comments. Good point there from Sage. Guilt is not productive. Yeah, and that's very similar to that image I was saying of standing over yourself with your wagging finger, which could make you feel guilty if you then don't do the work, and it doesn't help. A bit of an insight from Sam. Having no ideas of how to teach a specific learning objective, find it taking my mind off it works. The best ideas come on a dog walk. Yeah, I actually should have mentioned that. That's absolutely true. If you can get something about going outdoors, is magical for revitalizing you creatively. Actually, yeah, walking the dog, going for a run, often in the shower afterwards for some reason, then the idea suddenly comes then. But yeah, great point. Yeah, true, Sage. Inspiration's everywhere. You have to be open to it. There was an interview with Paul Simon talking about songwriting, and he did run the risk of sounding a bit up himself, but I think he got away with it, where he said it's just being receptive, because this song idea will just be drifting out there somewhere. You just get that little wisp of it, and if you're not receptive, you'll miss it, and it's gone. And his point was it won't come back. I'm not so sure about that. I think maybe the good ideas do come back, but who knows? Maybe Still Crazy after all these years would never have got written if he hadn't been receptive to those ideas. Okay, Trish is inspired by actually seeing something specific, which is interesting. So it also shows we all got a different process. There we go. Sage looks it up for me. Authors with a mortgage never get writer's block. Mavis Creek, apparently. Whatever happened to her? Now, this is obviously, a lot of this is obviously chimed with Sage, because another comment, which is, yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. So switching media, well, I said that about when you're filling the tank, but it's also true if you're sitting in front of a screen the whole time, then go somewhere else. Switch to typing. And yeah, well, you've already seen for tonight, physical notes. I do have the notebooks where there's pieces of paper all over here with writing on, even down to stuck to my desk. I have post-it notes with various bits and pieces on there. Yeah, that absolutely works too. And I like to dictate as well. That's a way of just getting the brain out of the same routines, but you're doing the same thing. It's like fooling yourself in a way. Yeah, really great point. Okay, and I haven't overrun by too much. We're coming up to 34 minutes. That's not too bad, is it? So I'll call it a night. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to address in future live streams. I think maybe just having a little theme to them is quite a good idea. But yeah, let me know. Let me know in the comments. In the comments below. Once a video's on YouTube, it's up there forever unless you decide to remove it for some reason. So whenever you come across this video, if you've got a question, then stick it in the comments below, and I will keep up with them. And if you've got ideas for future live streams, put them there as well, and I'll write them all down on a piece of paper and lose it, and then find it again, and then look at the ideas and think some of those are really good, and I might even do it. So good to see you all, and we shall reconvene same time next Friday, 8 o'clock. I will take a break over Christmas. Haven't decided quite how many. At least a couple, maybe more. Um, Probably just two, to be honest. And then I can't believe I'm talking about Christmas, but I'm allowed to now, right? It's December and it snowed today. I took some video of the dog walking towards a Christmas tree in the town centre with the snow coming down on his fur, looking absolutely beautiful, shortly before he took an epic dump. So, great. See you next time. Thanks for coming.